Secret build reveal. That's what we'll call it.
Oh my god.
Couldn't stop. I got scared. Think my chin look good. Shout out Ron. Shout out Ron for the connect. Shout out Ron for the garito. Turborito. Story time. In order to start this story, I need to take you all the way back to 2020. 2020 is where this car began. It's a 318 94 factory auto. I got this car for free from my uncle, so they offered me the car. I got the 318 back in like 2020. It was mint. It's my cousin's car. It was his daily. They didn't do anything to it. He just drove it. And when I got it, it was completely bone stock. Now, so I decided that I wanted to build it. And I was like, well, with it being a 318, I think the sickest thing we can do is throw a 4-cylinder in it. So I started talking to some of the homies who used to work over at the place called Hoonigan. And I brought up this idea and I was like, yo, we should build this car and like we should put it on the channel. The fans would love it. It'd be pretty sick. Also with it being a 318, we could throw a Honda K24 into it. So homie was down. He was like, yeah, we should do it. Down. I'm like, cool. It's gonna be on the channel. He's like, yeah, it's gonna be on the channel. Don't worry about all that. I got that covered. Well, he didn't have it covered. I went and got a bunch of partners and people involved in the project, and they were super stoked. A couple of them are still down to roll with us, but I'm sure it was upsetting because I was pissed off. PMC, we called up Drift HQ, my boy Duarte over there, and started telling him about the project. Hey, we're gonna build this car. It's gonna be super rad. We're gonna release it on the Hoonigan channel. You down to help me out? So, Duarte being Duarte said, absolutely, I'll help you. He called up a bunch of companies. He got us paired up with PMC, Drift HQ products. Oh, we also got teamed up with Click Tuning. Cody over at BC sent us some stuff. So we have a ton of product and parts sent out to us to put this K24 into the E36 chassis. So I instantly got to work on it and I filmed a bunch of stuff. I actually filmed quite a bit of the build process. What ended up happening was the person who said they had the authority to get the car onto the channel and get all this footage used lied, and they didn't have all the authority that they said they had, or they acted like they had. So now I had a bunch of people waiting for the show to come out, waiting for this build to drop on the channel, and I was unaware that it wasn't gonna work. So I ended up building the entire undercarriage of the car. Everything on the car is done that you see now in about 4 days time. I dropped the subframe, I installed Condor Speed Shot bushings, threw in BC coilovers, we have dual caliper stuff, we have proper arms, upper and lower. We got all of these parts put in the car in what felt like 4 days. Now I'm sitting there, I have a built car, or at least underneath. I have built suspension, I have partners, I have everybody like, hey man, what's going on? Some time passed. And I have all the partners hitting me up and they're going, hey, I thought you were building this car for the channel. And as time went on, I found out that I wasn't. So I had tried and tried and tried to get them to approve it for the channel. Never got approved. It is what it is. But I had the partners, again, still sitting there waiting. So I hit them up and I told them, hey, we'll just release the car on our own channel and we'll film all the stuff ourselves and it'll just be what it is and we'll tell the story. They were all down with it. Everybody's really cool. PMC was cool, Drift HQ was cool about it, Condor, BC, everybody was super chill about it and they were down. They're like, it is what it is. Call it a day. So I decided, well, if I need to get some help, I need to send this car to another shop. So the car ends up going all the way out to Colorado to get some stuff done with the K-Series motor. Well, it's kind of part 2 of what went wrong with the car. It ended up sitting at that shop for about 2 years. In the span of 2 years, I was busy, they were busy, we had a bunch of different things going on. Everybody's busy, so it is what it is. It was no big deal. But the homies did build something pretty rad. They made these engine mounts for the K24 to go into the E36. They did both sides, obviously, and they were able to utilize the factory transmission bracket, which is pretty sick, to be honest. It's dope. And then we ended up spacing the front subframe down with a couple of spacers made for it all the way around. It was cool, but it sat there for 2 years. And in the 2-year process, we had a bunch of other things done. The homie Jamo, some of you guys know who Jamo is. If you don't, he's freaking sick. We got a harness, a mil-spec harness, and I got an M-Tron KV8 to run this engine. And Jamo plugged and wired the harness so that it can plug straight into the M-Tron. So we had all this stuff done, and we were making some good progress on the build. The problem is that it took 4 years. If you know me, I don't like taking 4 years to build a car. I had a text message saying the car's got to get out of the shop by the end of March. No big deal. It is what it is, kind of a bummer. So twice now I thought that the car was being built somewhere else and it didn't happen. So now it is up to me. So I put out on Instagram, anybody help me get this car to California? It's kind of a wild thing to do when you really think about it because they're strangers on the internet. But I met this dude, his name's Josh. Cool thing about Josh is Josh lives in Colorado. So with Josh living in Colorado, he goes, hey, I saw online that you were trying to see if someone could come and move this car for you. And told him, yeah, I need some help moving this car to California if you're down. I'd gladly take the help. So he was down. Now, since we're not getting the support that I was kind of anticipating getting with the K motor, I decided that it was time to get rid of the K24. It's kind of difficult getting partners to help out with this motor, this power plant. A lot of people have never done it. A lot of people don't want to do it. In all fairness, these boys did get the engine mounts done, and they did figure out how to utilize the factory trans mount and stuff like that and space this up and down. Super dope, don't get me wrong. But I had a mission for Josh. I said, Josh, interesting opportunity just came up. If you're down to help me with it, that would be rad. If you can't, it is what it is. Longtime buddy of mine named Sergio hits me up. He's moving out of town. He's got a power plant sitting around, and if you actually paid attention to the thumbnail, you saw it in the corner of the thumbnail. But he hits me up and he goes, hey dude, I saw that you have a chaser. That's freaking sick. I'm leaving. I'm moving from Utah down to freaking South Carolina, moving away somewhere far, and he needs to get rid of this motor. And naturally, I had to hit up Hannah. Yo, I saw that you got your chaser. Got this motor over here if you're interested in it. Just sitting here, and because I'm leaving, I don't want to take it with me. I told him I'm in. I was like, you know what? That sounds like a great idea for me to get that. But what he intended to be, got this killer deal on this motor. It actually came out of my E36. If you're interested in it, I'll sell it to you. Here's the catch, you gotta come get it. So I told Josh, hey man, is it possible for you to go up to Utah and grab this engine for me? I have an idea for it. So he goes, well, it's like a 4-hour drive, so whatever, I'm down. Sergio saw that we had a chaser and offered this 1JZ. He said, hey, this is the 1JZ for my 36. I've seen it rip. I know this motor. I know it's good. I know it's well taken care of. You should put this 1J in the chaser. Then I started asking questions. I was like, okay, like that's sick. It's a 1J. I was like, which one is it? Non-VVTi. I was like, that's right. You have non-VVTi. I'm not really interested in putting this in the chaser, but what's up with all your engine mounts and everything that came with it? He goes, I have everything to throw it into the 36. So I was like, dude, we'll pull the K24 out of the car. I wanted to keep the K24 in the 36 because the 36 is a 318, but real E36s come with inline sixes. So it's like, dude, I'm down, I'll buy it. Let's throw it into the 36 and I'll rebuild what this car was supposed to be was a street version remake of my old teammate Nick Franco's car. So Sergio is Nick Franco's spotter in Pro-Am. Sergio built an identical car to Nick, actually in black. I think it had a cage and all kinds of other goodies, but he tore it all apart and he pulled this motor out. So the motor was available and it had all these parts. I told Sergio, say less. I called Josh, can you do it? Josh is down. Josh picks up the motor in Utah for me, drives back to Colorado, grabs the E36, then from Colorado drives all the way to Vegas where he works. Darren and I hop in the truck, we drive all the way up to Vegas, we meet Josh, his boys, super down, they help us push the car into the trailer, they did all that stuff, helped us load the motor into the trailer. Super rad dudes, all those guys were super sick. We were able to finally get car, I'm probably gonna end up calling like the Throwback 36 because it's been so damn long, but the Throwback 36 is finally home. K24 is coming out, good idea, cool idea, maybe in the future, not for now. Now we got the 1JZ. JZ is going to be going into the 36. And on top of that, this will become something that's a little bit more serious as far as like a practice car is concerned. So I want to plate it, license it, drive it around, mob it around, but then I want to be able to go to Grain or go to like LZ World Tour and take this car instead of the pro car and put the pro car into more of like a work-based thing where that thing's traveling and we're just beating the crap out of it all over the country. Or vice versa. Pro car stays here, this car gets to go out and travel. One of the big events that I want to go do that I've got to visit was the Knuckle Up events in Texas. Right there in Houston, not too far from my mom's house. The Knuckle Up event is happening and it really lit a fire under my butt to build a car that's capable but also has good stance to it and good fitment to it. Hence the 3-piece wheels all the way around it. So chances are we're gonna keep all this stuff. It's gonna be slammed, it's gonna be tucked and fitted and all beautiful and sick, but it's also gonna make the sick noises of a 1J. So it's kind of rad because I'm kind of collecting all of these engines and these different cars. And so like we have the Beam, we have the LS now, we have the K24 engine, which we'll figure out if that goes into the S13 or if the S13 gets boosted. I'm not sure yet what we're gonna do with that. Maybe you guys can help me decide what to do. But now we have a 1J. 1JZ non-VVTi, a very legendary engine. I've always looked at these. I had a 92 Toyota pickup back in the day, and this was like my dream swap. So I want to put a 1J non-VVTi. But even better, we're putting it into a 36 instead of a pickup truck, which is going to be rad, and this car's going to drive pretty nasty. Eventually, we want to get a 2J and throw a 2J into the Chaser. I believe the Chaser deserves a big old 2J in it for sure. Something a little more serious with that car. I'm super blessed. And a lot of this, to be honest, a lot of this stuff doesn't happen without you guys. If you guys aren't watching the show, if you guys aren't hanging out, following Instagram, subscribing, and when I go to partners, it's easier to get a hold of things that I need to continue making content because of you guys who are watching the show and supporting it. This is the next build, boys. We're diving into it. It's time to get this motor into the 36. This is it, baby. I'm so excited. Let's go. Yeah, dude. Thanks, get out of here. Yeah. Like a glove.
Oh, I seen that on camera.
What was it?
Your valve cover, lift it up.
Oh.
Bring it more. Yeah, now you can lower it.
Just food for thought for you guys out there. Do your best to not stick your hand under anything that could potentially smash your fingers. So if you look down in there, you can see that the stud is just offset of the engine mount, and you can't get the engine to go any further over there because that engine mount's already resting on the stud. So with this one, in order to get it to go down, you have to like kind of rotate the motor, but it's not gonna rotate. It's too damn heavy. So the better option is we loosen that engine mount there, angle it so that it accepts it, and then once it drops on there, then it'll rest in its like seated position. So nothing to it but to do it, boys. All right, that's stuck there for now. So there it is. Now we'll go down. The engine hoist should rest exactly where it needs to. That's it. Day one, messing with it. We're off to a really good start. The engine is in, but the OEM crossmember is not mounted, meaning that the transmission isn't bolted to the OEM crossmember. It's just resting on it, literally, because the transmission has been shoved so far back that the OEM crossmember does not work. So I need to get the OEM crossmember. I think that Sergio has it, and he thinks that he has it. He's gonna look for it. Off to a great start. A lot of the plumbing's here. It just needs to be plugged in. Throttle cable. I got a couple other things I really want to do to this car, but like the fact that it's home and the fact that I can get my hands back on it and I'm doing it the way that I wanted to, and I was actually able to afford to buy pieces that were bolt-in pieces instead of having to constantly rely on different fabricators and calling them up and asking them, and I'm not talking about proper fab works. Those boys are legit, which Tony's gonna be a part of this build. We have a couple things to figure out. We have wiring now, which we're still not mounted. We still gotta get mounted, plumbing, and then we gotta go through our pedals and get our pedals to work. So our brakes, our clutch, and our gas pedal all need to come together. The other thing that I've never really messed with is the induction system, meaning all of the turbo stuff. So the intercooler, the piping, all of that stuff. I've never messed with any of that, so I gotta figure all that out too. Mishimoto sent us a radiator, so we have a radiator for this, and we also have the intercooler so we can get those things mocked up and mounted. And we have an expansion tank for the radiator as well. So we have a lot of the pieces. It's just a matter of putting the time in and trying to get it all done in time. We'll see what we can get done. But I'm stoked. Thank you guys for watching. As always, hold fast, baby.